For the cheapest coins with fast delivery and quick customer support, check out my sponsor Red Zone Coins and use code SWIFT at checkout for 15% off. Salsa family, and today I'm coming back at you guys with another Madden 21 video on the channel, and in today's video we have the return of my favorite series on the channel, MUT Team Reviews. Now if you guys don't know how this series works, essentially what I do is review your guys' teams live in a video to help you out with upgrades, chemistries, and abilities. Now before we hop into this video, I just have two really quick things that I want to mention. Firstly, I don't know if you guys could notice it, but yesterday in my videos I wasn't really the same high energy type of person that I like to bring to most of my videos, so I apologize for that. One major thing that I like to do in all of my pieces of content is provide you guys with a positive source of energy, so hopefully that reflects onto you guys as well. And on the screen right here, I also want to put up a 100,000 coins Red Zone coin coupon. The first person to use this at checkout will get 100k absolutely free from Red Zone coins. If you want more giveaways like this, leave a like down below, and without further ado, let's hop into the first team of today's video. So starting it off with team number one, we have an unreal no money spent team. This is an 87 overall no money spent team, and it's very clear to me that this guy is grinded, and I do respect that quite a bit. He's got Andre Johnson up to a 92, Lamar Jackson at his 89 overall version, Tyler Lockett and CD Lamb at the wide receiver spots as well, George Kittle at tight end. This 88 George Kittle card is actually super nice. The offensive line looks awesome as well, and moving on to the defense right here, he has Sam Mills all the way up to his 95 overall version, so that is absolutely awesome. The secondary looks great. I love the budget options that you went for there, and then your defensive line, specifically the defensive tackle position, is absolutely stacked with 91 Brian Young and 89 overall Linval Joseph. Okay, so without further ado, let's hop into upgrades for this team, and the first thing I'd recommend you do is actually sell off some of your backups to free up some coins. I can see you've got Ronnie Stanley at backup left tackle. We've got Brian Young, who we should probably sell off. I'd recommend you throw in Javon Kinlaw at defensive tackle too. You've got Ronnie Lott, who you can sell off, Geno Atkins, so we should definitely free up some coins with this team. And once you sell off those players and get your training points back, you should be able to make almost 250k by just selling off some of your backup players. I'd recommend you sell off Bryant Young. I know in your message here you said you're a Niners fan, but I think we want to free up those coins. That way we can make a couple of upgrades on the defensive line. Now those upgrades should be picking up Myles Garrett's full card, get him all the way up to his full version. He's going to be an absolute animal. And at the left end position, what you can actually do is power up Aaron Donald, use that 87 to 88 overall power up pass on him. You can put a secondary position on him, and I got him all the way up to a 91 overall by simply throwing balanced defense on this team. I can't quite tell if you have balanced defense on all of your players. It does look like you do, so that's awesome. Now the other upgrade I'd recommend you do is actually pick up Jamal Adams full card with the power up pass, so that's going to happen once you get up to a level 60. And otherwise, I do think this offense is really solid. The only other thing I'd like to see is maybe a little bit more speed at receiver. I do love CD Lamb and Tyler Lockett. Those are two really good cards. I don't love Andre Johnson, but I think you've got enough speed otherwise with Tyler and CD Lamb. So honestly, what I'd recommend you do is just build out a little bit of a dominant defensive line here. You could get Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald all the way up to their full versions by selling off Bryant Young and selling off your other backup players. You could throw edge threat on both of those cards and they will shed like crazy for you. So those are the upgrades I'd recommend you make to this no money spent team. Let's hop into team number two of this video. This is also a no money spent team, and I absolutely love the way this one was constructed. He's got Lamar Jackson at QB, my favorite budget running back in the game, Cam Akers at the running back spot. I love the speed in Tyreek Hill and Tyler Lockett at wide receivers. Andre Johnson is a little bit slow, but he is going to be a solid option for you nonetheless. George Kittle at tight end again. Love the stats on that George Kittle card. The offensive line looks awesome as well for a no money spent team. Trent Williams, I'm assuming you got for free. You can get Trent Williams for free by actually just getting the set done and taking him back as a not, so that's a really good option there at the left tackle spots. And moving on to the defense, 92 overall Jamal Adams. That is a sick card right there. The defensive line looks good, the linebackers look nice as well. The rest of the secondary is probably where we're going to want to start to make our upgrades. So starting it off with the first upgrade, I'd recommend you pick up either Byron Jones, Asante Samuel, or Dre Bly at the cornerback spot. You only have Trey Waynes and AJ Terrell. Those are two good corners, don't get me wrong, but I feel like you you want to get one super good corner on your team, it looks like you've got close to the right amount of coins to be able to get one of those players. I'd recommend if you go for Dre Bly or Asante Samuel that you actually get the set done for those cards. Those team diamond sets are actually going to be a lot cheaper than actually just purchasing the card and purchasing the power up as standalone players. So those are two options to consider. At free safety, you can maybe look to pick up someone like DeMonte KZ, and then at running back, you could maybe look to pick up someone like Bo Jackson. Just power up his card all the way to the 89. You're only going to need training for that, so that's definitely an option as well. But I feel like the first thing we need to upgrade on this team is corner. Go with Asante Samuel, Dre Bly, or Byron Jones, and you'll have a really nice corner at the CB1 spot. Okay, now hopping into the next team right here, we have Michael Vick at the QB position of this 89 overall squad, and I do really like the way this team was built when it comes to abilities as well as players. He's got Mark Clayton at wide receiver. He is probably my favorite receiver in the game right now. This Mark Clayton card balls out for me. Michael Vick at QB, obviously an absolute burner. 88 overall Bo Jackson. This card right here only requires training. You don't need to purchase any cards to get him up to his 88, and that card is going to bring you 90 speed, so a really good option if you guys are looking for a running back. Tyreek Hill at the 3. I love how you put edge protector on both of your tackles. I'm definitely going to be doing that soon. I put one on Lane Johnson. I'm going to have to put it on Trent Williams as well. It only costs 1 AP, and your tackles are going to do so much better in pass blocking. So edge protector is definitely something to consider at both of your tackle spots. George Kittle at the tight end, and moving it onto the defense, we have Sam Mills, Lawrence Taylor, Jalen Smith, and TJ Watt at the outside linebacker spots to go along with middle linebacker. I love those additions right there. At the cornerback position, that's where we're probably going to want to make some upgrades. Okay, so now let's hop into upgrades, and honestly, this is super tough. He said he's a 3-4 team, so we don't really need a good left end. I'm assuming you just play with Donald, Leroy, and Linval Joseph on your defensive line, and then you have TJ Watt and Lawrence Taylor to pass rush. But I think what we're probably going to want to do first here is actually throw some more abilities on this defense. I would probably use up all 10 of my ability slots on defense. If you want to, you can try and put bench press on those corners. I'm not sure if they get it. You can try putting acrobat on some of your players. That's honestly a really good ability, but otherwise, I don't really have any player upgrades. I just say we want to get some abilities on this defense. My favorite abilities to go with are edge threat on some of my pass rushers, and then on my corners, as well as just secondary members, I like putting acrobat and bench press on my corners. So that's what I'd recommend you guys do, or what you do when it comes to upgrades on this team. But overall, I love the way the offense and the defense were constructed, so big props to you for that one. Okay, now next up, we've got another no money spent team right here, and I do kind of prefer reviewing some of these lower overall teams because there's just so much more room for upgrades. As we take a look at the squad, the first thing that I love is I love how you put edge protector on Ryan Ramczyk and Trent Williams. I will continue to preach this in a lot of my videos coming up because I recently put it on one of my tackles and it works absolute wonders. For 1 AP, it just gives you so much value. Dawson Knox at tight end, that's perfect. I did recommend him in a video earlier. Lamar at the QB spot. I would throw Cam Akers at starting running back instead of running back 2. He's going to play a lot better than AP. Marvin Harrison, Andre Johnson, and Tyreek Hill at the wide receiver spots. To be honest with you, I don't think I would touch this offense a lot. Okay, now moving on to this defense right here, I do like a lot of the players that you've got. You've got 89 Denzel, who you can get for just using training, AJ Terrell and Aeneas Williams at the cornerback spots, Adrian Wilson, who's probably one of the best users in the game, Xavier McKinney, Jeremy Chin, and Terrell Edmonds. You said you run big nickel over G, so I'm assuming that you don't really play with any linebackers on the field. Then you've got Aaron Donald, Kenny Clark, and Jack Youngblood at the left end spots. Now, in my opinion, I have said this before, but I love the combination of Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett. That combination is just absolutely revolting. I can see you've got some additional ability points open, so what you could do, like I've said before, is pick up Myles Garrett, pick up Aaron Donald, you run big nickel over G, so out of that defense, if you pinch your defensive line and slant them outside, you actually get some really, really good sheds when you have edge threat on your outside pass rushers. So if you ended up going with AD and Myles Garrett, those guys would shed like crazy out of your big nickel over G scheme. That's what I used to run, I think, in Madden 20, and I tried using it in 21 for a little bit. I wasn't great with it, but I got a ton of sheds with Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald, so would definitely recommend you consider picking up another pass rusher to complement AD. Okay, now moving on to the final team of the video. You guys actually submitted a lot of teams. As I was going through these, I didn't realize you guys submitted so many, so we're definitely gonna have to do another episode pretty soon. But he's got LJ at the QB spot, Bo Jackson, who I love at running back. I love your quarterback running back group right here, especially for what looks like a more no money spent squad. Really good job right there. Brandon Cooks at wide receiver, that is great. You can just use training and get Cooks up to his 88 overall version. For your offensive line, there's gonna be a lot of upgrades needed. I actually made a video going over my favorite budget and medium tier offensive linemen. I will leave that linked in the description. If you guys have a bunch of 80s or 79s on your offensive line, I would definitely recommend you guys check that out, because I give you guys some really good alternatives for players to pick up in like the 83 to 86 range, which isn't really going to cost you a ton, but is going to help you a lot with boosting up your overall. Now he's got your Michael Finley at tight end. I would recommend you maybe try and get the full version of that card pretty soon. I've got the full version of him, and I was able to put tight end apprentice, and with that 90 medium route running, he gets open on so many routes. It's absolutely crazy. Let's move on to the defense here before we make any major changes. As you can see, the cornerback spots look awesome. I love how you have a lot of players powered up, but without putting in their full version of the card, you can just use training and power up players like Lawrence Taylor, Junior Seau, and get some really good cards without really having to spend that many coins. Now, in terms of upgrades for this team, this is honestly super tough. I think what I would start to do is start to finish off some of these power-ups. I can see you've got a lot of players powered up to like one spot before their final card, and it seems like right now on this team, you're super balanced. You've got a lot of balance on your D-line, your linebackers, your secondary. There's not really any major holes other than the offensive line. So what I'd recommend you do once you start to build out that O-line a little bit is I'd recommend that you start to pick up some of the full versions of some of these players. You can look at getting Tyron's full card. You can look at getting LT's full card, Junior Seau, Byron Jones. There's a lot of options for full players you can add to this team. Reggie Wayne, Jermichael Finley, the list goes on. So that's probably what I'd recommend you guys do next, or what you do next for this team. But firstly, I think we got to build out that offensive line. I will leave a video linked in the description going over how I like to build out my offensive line and some suggestions for players you can pick up. Now that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of Team Reviews. I want to thank you guys for all the submissions. I didn't realize we had this many until I checked Twitter this morning. So thank you guys for all the support. If you do want to be featured in a video, follow me on Twitter. I will put it in a tweet when I do another episode of this. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. And until next time, fellas, I'm out. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.